Next one is from. Who's next? A forgotten name. It's from John Roddy, and the subject is Sonny Kiss. I just finished All In and it was mostly packed with multiple person matches, not assuming gender for reasons you'll find out. It really showed us this crazy stacked the AEW roster is, but at the same time, what made it even crazier was the sheer amount of contracted AEW talent who weren't there. Has to be what, 30, 50 contracted AEW names not there? My question for K100 is, why is Sonny Kiss still under contract to AEW? When's the last time Sonny was on TV? Has Sonny Kiss ever had an angle, a storyline, or even a feud? And during the entire existence of AEW? And why is Sonny still under contract with someone like Brian Pillman Jr. was released? I think Brian Pillman Jr. asked to be released. But bro, Tony just signs all these guys. I mean, like he's not. Obviously, the money isn't a big deal to him because WWE would be like how many talent on that show, Conan, have you watched over a month period of time that you say, okay, what is this guy making? If we cut this guy, but like if you could trim $3 million off your salary, okay, which shouldn't be that difficult to do at this company. Are there like could you easily do that at AEW if everybody's making six figures there? By the way, I think the minimum contract is $100,000.
No, they have lower contracts than that.
They do have lower contracts than that. I was told that if you get signed full time, you're making six figures. That's not true.
That could be true, but I know people that are not making six figures.
Okay. You're scratching a little bit. Your mic there, Conan. If you could just pull it away just a little. Yeah.
They might not be under full-time contracts, right? So I didn't ask the particulars.
Conan, you're rubbing your beard is rubbing against your mic.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he should be good now. Yeah, he should be good now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, no,
you're cool. You're all good. I don't know why Sonny Kiss is still under contract exactly for why the guy said the reasons not on TV, not used. What are you going to do with them, or what are you going to do with them?
I can tell you 1,000,000% why he's on TV. And number one, he did have a storyline because when AEW first started, he was in a storyline, and then later he was in another one with Janela. Okay, so the reason you have somebody like Sonny Kiss is because in our America and everybody has to be the same, and woke culture and all this, everything from Pizza Hut, the Google, the football teams, and every movies, you gotta have an LGBTQ character, you gotta have a brother, you have the Latino diversity and other, you know what I'm saying? And that's just the way it is.
Well, let me say this. I don't know if this
remember when people were complaining when you were telling me that, right? Remember when you were complaining to me, Disco, that, and I think it was that Will Washington guy that was like, yeah, African Americans only had so many time on TV.
Right, yeah, right.
Like all the brothers piling on. Yeah, that's right. What's going on? You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Right, yeah. Well, let me make this point, and maybe this is something to do with it, okay? Is that Sonny Kiss, by his own creativity, is portraying himself as a very flamboyantly character.
Right.
And like if you're a channel surfer and you're watching that, you might be offended at the way professional wrestling is portraying like this. Like you're thinking like, wow, I don't want to. They don't act like that. Like this guy's acting flamboyantly, like almost like a parody of a gay character, you know?
Yeah, but he's doing a character which I'm sure he's not going to make a.
I don't think he's doing a character.
I would think. Well, then that's how he really is. What's the problem?
I've seen this guy backstage before. Okay, and he's like, hey, he's kind of very flamboyantly.
Right.
Which is fine, but it's like
so
if you're putting that on TV, if you put that on TV, that's almost like a stereotype, a negative trope of a character. Could be people could perceive it that way, is what I'm saying.
They could, but I think most people perceive it as this is an act and it's a good act or it's a bad act. You know what I'm saying?
Well, maybe people.
But I think at the end of the day, if you're doing something with a company that's like we have exoticos on our roster, the gay characters, but in Mexican they call it exoticos. There ain't a lot of brothers in Mexico, but we brought in Rich Swann a lot, Willie Max there a lot, but we make sure that we, women are not demeaned, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like we check all the boxes for corporate sponsors, women, exoticos, women aren't being bashed or belittled, all the not too much blood.
Plus,
and that's what gets us our sponsors.
And obviously, plus, there's an obviously different climate in Mexico where it's definitely not as PC as they are here. Like, you have the police patrol that are looking at that's offensive to to people in Mexico. Like, hey, this is our culture, has been around for years. Like, lucha libre wrestling is ingrained in culture, and the exoticos have been around for years. We're not going to have a bunch of Gen Zers come in and say that's offensive.
I'll give you an example. ADR, Marty Scurll, just to say two names, have mega heat in the U.S. Mega.
Right.
They have zero heat in Mexico.
Right. Because they don't judge as much in Mexico. It's more.
Yeah, they're like, bro, we all, did he go to jail? No, he didn't. Okay, so what are we talking about?
Right.
Punishing a guy because you're mad at him at something that you didn't even see?
Right.
Get out of here, bro. That's the beautiful thing about that country. That's like their mindset.
Plus, when Ryan Pillman there, I want to give kudos to the K100 news team, because it was reported on K100 last week that Brian Pillman signed with NXT, and now it's popping up on all the sites 5-6 hours ago. Brian Pillman signed with NXT, but we were first.
That's great.
Yeah, Joe came
Brian,
up
let me tell you what Brian Pillman needs to do. Brian Pillman could be a huge star instantly in the WWE if he does what his dad was going to do. Somehow figures a way to change himself the goalpost to win the Super Bowl. If he can pull that off, he's immediately a huge star. He's immediately all over mainstream television and news. He's immediately he's like,
that shows
I would do that.
Okay, listen, to what what you just said, because I would have never thought of that. That shows how way ahead of his time and how brilliant Brian Pillman was.
Brilliant,
because he thought of that idea over 20 years ago.
And he got mad.
And I was like, what a great idea.
That's it. It's we got to bring Madden on to tell that story in detail again, because that conversation is hysterical. Because when he tried to get Madden to
give him press pass,
he wanted Madden to give him his press pass. He could do it.
That's great. That's great. Yeah.
Like, Madden would lose his job, but it's like, you got to make sacrifices, Madden. All right. Next is
how great was Brian, right?
Oh, it's awesome. Next is some Narsk Rigagig. And the subject is, will he? I'm listening to the new K100 right now, and it opened with the Jericho versus Ospreay promo battle from the most recent Dynamite at the time of this writing. In that, Ospreay mentioned that his New Japan deal is up in about 6 months. I think it's fair to say he's going to be joining AEW. My question is, what will he add? Conan says all the time their audience will love it, but that audience isn't growing. They've already got those fans. Should the plan be to be bringing on guys who may bring a new audience? What will Will bring as a full-time AEW guy? Well, let me tell Will Ospreay this. I doubt Will Ospreay listens to this podcast. Bro, you need to go to WWE. Your work is excellent. You look like $1 million. The style there won't break your body down. They'll teach you how to elongate your career. And bro, your promo, your talking ability is not that bad. But you're not going to learn how to do better promos at AEW. You're going to learn in the WWE system, where they can produce cool videos of you and turn you into a superstar because you look the part. He should go to him going to AEW is just going to be another guy that Meltzer raves over his matches and he goes out there and kills himself and stuff. Bro, go to WWE if you want to be a big global star. You're not going to be a big global star at AEW because they have not figured out how to make these guys stars yet. That'd be my advice to Will Ospreay. But if he's up in 6 months, he should absolutely go to WWE. He'd be perfect for that company. He's a perfect size. What is he, like 6'2", 225, 230? He's like, the guy looks like $1 million. So I don't know.
Yeah,
what do you think about that? What do you think about what I just said?
It's just real quick. For some people that didn't have much experience with him, they recently found out that he's good on the mic too. So I don't think that's something. Yeah,
you're not going to get a lot of mic time in AEW. The same guys cut promos every week. Britt Baker. You're going to go to AEW and literally Britt Baker is going to have more mic time than you have. All right. You go to WWE, bro. Look at all the guys, the roughly your size you could be working with. Seth, Roman. So, bro, you could conceivably go there and they could build you up to wrestle Roman Reigns.
He's only 30.
That's how good the guy is in the ring. He's young. He looks great. He can talk. His work is good. They just needs to tone it down and be safer and elongate his career. Bro, I don't know why if he had the choice and was the same money, why you would not choose WWE? You know,
Bro, listen to this. About 12 years ago, I went to a PWG show. They don't seem to be as hot as they were before, right? Like they don't have the same
all
buzz.
the talent. Well, all the talent got taken.
Got signed.
Pretty much, right? Yeah, pretty much. You know.
Yeah, yeah, because the last two shows have been heavily Mexican talent.
Remember as long as back as you remember, bro, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens were staples on that show, and they've been like in WWE now for like 9 years. It seems like, you know. So yeah,
Brian, a lot of.
This is how long ago it was. His name was Kevin Steen on the Indies, but Kevin Owens, used to tag with the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
Used to tag with the Young Bucks in PWG, and when Lucha Underground started, I went there, and I had recommended Brian Cage, Willie Mack. I wanted to do an LA trios with John Morrison and the Young Bucks because they're all from LA. Bro, Lucha Underground had this guy that didn't know anything about the business. He was a lawyer, and he called the Young Bucks and he offered them $250. So I called the Young Bucks and I'm like, yo, are you guys ready to go? And they're like, that place. And I go, what happened? They go, yeah, they offered us $250. And I go, the guy doesn't know what the doing. How much do you want? And they go, tell them if they want us to work with us, we want $2,500. And I said, for both of you? And he goes, no, each. Basically telling Lucha Underground to go themselves. But I don't know why I brought that thing up. But anyways, Ospreay has a built-in. Oh, I met Ospreay in PWG. That's why I brought that story. And like 12 years ago, Disco, and I wanted him to come to Mexico, and he was like, "Oh no, I'm with my girlfriend. I can't leave right now." But you could tell back then how talented he was. But he kind of has a built-in feud, even though it would be more for the hardcores with Ricochet. Remember that match they had?
Well, with everybody.
No, he could have great matches with a lot of people. Yeah, very talented.
This is an interesting one from Narsk Rigagig, and the subject is, will he? I'm listening to the new K100 right now, and it opened with the Jericho versus Ospreay promo battle. Oh wait, I just read this. Hang on. Oh wait, did I?
You're Michael Singh.
Is this the same one I just? Okay, hang on. Did I read this whole email? I did. Oh, I missed the line. It said Conan says all the time their audiences will love it, but the audience isn't growing. That's a thought that, like, you know, Conan doesn't actually say that all the time. Like, you know, I mean, he understands the audience is growing. But like,
a bit.
Next one. So Michael R. Singh. Subject is tribalism in wrestling. Dear Conan, Disco, and Joe, what's up from Jakarta, Indonesia? When my friend's family and I were growing up in Toronto watching both WWE and WCW, there's never any rivalries or tribalism with the different companies and everyone I knew who watched. We just enjoyed watching wrestling. Channel flipping between NWO promos and DX antics was just as fun all around, and we enjoyed it. So why do you think people now are so divided when it comes to wrestling companies? Why can't we be critical of both and enjoy both? Thank you for all the work you do. I never watch actually weekly wrestling programs anymore, and I count on your show reviews to keep me up to date. Greatly appreciated. You can blame that squarely on the shoulders of the dirt sheet guys that talked about the war, you know, between AEW and the developmental show NXT. And the problem is you could definitely see a bias of the dirt sheets towards AEW because it was like, you know, a lot of the guys that they liked, and they've been, you know, that's where it started. I mean, it's kind of obvious. The media bias towards AEW, and that's where the tribalism comes from.
There was tribalism in the '90s, like ECW fans, WCW, and blah blah. But when you go to Nitro, who would be there? Everyone you see at the arena, you know. So, yeah.
I thought it was kind of interesting that Raw did a lower number this week than usual, and I think that maybe that's enough. As many people that watched that 5-hour pay-per-view the night before were probably just like washed from wrestling, like, you know, like didn't want to watch another 3-hour show the next night. So you see, there's a lot of crossover fans, but you know, it is weird how they cover this. What do you think, Conan?
I don't even know what the question was.
Put your mic down.
Like,
I don't even know what the question was.
Why is there let me see. So
why is there tribalism in wrestling now? Like AEW fans hate WWE and so on.
Why can't we be? Yeah, why are people so divided when it comes to wrestling companies? And why can't we just be critical of both and enjoy both?
Yeah, I agree with that. Bro, it's been around for a while since WCW and WWE.
Not really. Not really.
There was a little bit, right?
But there wasn't like a hate for one show and hate. Both of the shows were good, and it was like, let's flip back and forth, you know?
All right.
And then the companies were competing against each other. The fans weren't. You know, the companies were competing for all of the fans, and all the fans liked both the shows. A lot of them did. And you were trying to get them to watch your show more than the other show, you know? So, I don't know.
Well, I think right now there was a a lot of people left for AEW because they didn't like what WWE was giving them, and it was quite a bit of them, and that's how they were able to make AEW grow. And I think that hatred, or dislike, or whatever the word would be, now has turned into fan against fan. Like we have the superior product.
Next is from Neil Hayes, subject is Eric Bischoff, Wrestling Genius or Curse. Hi guys, just want to thank you Conan and Disco. I want to thank you Conan and Disco for the years of entertainment. Me being a teenager at the time, it was great to watch Nitro on a Friday night. I live in the UK on TNT. Love the talent on Nitro and the sound of that WCW ring when someone took a bump. We were lucky as the Monday Night Wars were never head-to-head in the UK, and after Nitro finished, it was great to switch over to watch Raw and Sky Sports and compare them both. I apologize if you have been asked this before, but does Eric Bischoff get too much credit for being a genius? I know he has a scapegoat in Vince Russo for WCW and TNA, but Vince had some good TV moments, especially some bad ones. Eric holds himself in high esteem, but WCW failed under his watch. TNA declined severely, and he had a terrible stint in WWE on a few occasions. I'm guessing he's the one who brought Hulk into TNA, which just added whopping costs and made him a major part of the booking team. Plus, he wrote himself into too many segments. Is Eric just bad at this stuff, or did he make the mistake of letting his friends play around too much in all the companies? I know Greg Gagnon is known as a liar, but I'm guessing some of what he said about Eric is true. He just steals from others and blames others when it goes wrong. Could I have your thoughts, please, on Eric's documented path of destruction, why he seemed to try and rebuild WCW under the TNA banner? Thanks again for the many years of entertainment. My eldest has gotten into wrestling and has been showing him all the old Nitros. Best of luck in the future, and thank you for producing and co-hosting the show. So, Niall, I want to ask you a question. Did Eric ever do anything good? You sound like you seem like everything he did was terrible. There's a thing called 83 weeks. Okay? WCW crushed the WWE for 83 weeks on TV. Like nobody's how many other wrestling promoters can say for an entire year's worth of television we outdid Vince McMahon?
Yeah.
0.
Right.
Bro, come on. Eric is the second best promoter in my lifetime. Vince McMahon is the number 1. Eric was number 2, and probably Eric would have been even more successful if Vince McMahon was not around. The WWE was not around, because we did some good TV at WCW. I just think that this whole thing, bro, people will always they focus on people's careers, okay, and literally everything that they talk about their careers is all just the negative things in their career. These people had a lot of moments of brilliance in their careers. Nobody likes to talk about that. It's really, and it's a lot of these modern wrestling fans that do that, because like people that grew up and stuff, everything, like, they're not as down on them as the modern wrestling fan is, because all these people do is just talk about the past and how, this sucked and this, bro, there was tons of good stuff back then, way better than the stuff these days, holistically, so I don't know. I just, when I read emails like this, I just wonder if a guy like this reads too much dirt sheet stuff and, just his negativity. Do you agree, Conan? Am I a little off base here?
Yeah, no, I mean, Eric had good things, bad things, good things. I mean, he hired all those people from WWE. He went head to head against,
here's
WWE.
something.
He brought in all the cruiserweights, which revolutionized the sport. Yep. Here's
a funny thing. I think Tony Khan had made this. Tony Khan had made this statement or something. Him or Meltzer or somebody was talking about how that, I'm not gonna make the same mistakes that basically, Eric went and signed a bunch of the WWE cast-offs for too much money. And it's like, yeah, and he took those signings and they obviously had a lot of worth left in them because he took all those guys and turned around and beat Vince for over a year. People look at that like it's funny, but they look at it as a negative. Well, he signed all these guys when they were on the lap. Yeah, and he beat Vince with those same guys. He took all of Vince's guys and beat Vince with those guys. I mean, I don't know. It's like people try to spin it as a negative. I'm like, oh, what?
Well, here's the thing.
I was like, go ahead.
And this is again no shade. He's done the same thing. He's taken a lot of guys from WWE. You know,
Right.
unlike Eric, he hasn't been able to use them and weaponize them to beat Vince yet.
Right.
The only show was when NXT was against him head to head at the beginning. Remember?
Right.
That they weren't bringing in no star power. They're bringing more star power now than they were before.
Right. Bro, they did like 700 something thousand a couple weeks ago. Dominic, somebody did it. I was reading a thing. When Dominic's on the show, the numbers are up like 100 to 150,000.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Bro, they had their highest rating. They had their highest rating on NXT in 2 years when he was there. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Isn't
Good
it?
for him.
Yeah, good for him. And then it's funny how we like for like the longest time. We would always just say, "Boy, he looks so uncomfortable out there." They give him cheesy lines, and then all of a sudden, you know what? You should take somebody like that and turn them heel, and you can unleash character. And like, what do? They turn him heel, and he's just like he's the best heel, the best. Bro, literally every character that you're stuck with right now that isn't going anywhere, bro, just flip the switch on the guy. Turn him heel, or or if he's a heel, it's not going to turn him babyface, and see if it. Right, yeah. And you should do that with everybody that's not getting,
Because a lot of times when you're a baby face and you're not getting over, people start to boo, and you're like, man, when I turn heel, I'm gonna go off, you know. And so, like Jack Perry, look, he's been a good heel so far. You know what I'm saying? I still think he's missing the boat by not going up with that Anna Jay girl.
Right.
That's heat.
Yeah.